Hey guys, welcome to today's video, and in today's video we'll be covering how to create a message screen like this where we can scroll up and we can also get new messages, and it'll be similar to those in like Fears to Fathom games or other similar horror games, and we'll do this only using widgets and images. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get images of the phone screen that we're going to use. So I would suggest go to ifaketextmessage.com, and over here you can create the text message picture. So it's pretty simple to use. You can set the contact name over here, and you can type in any messages. You can add another message. You can repeat. And then after you've filled all this out, or however much you want to click on create image. Actually, you don't even have to do that. Just take a screenshot using anything. So for example, snipping tool, and then you can take a screenshot, but only take a screenshot of the main message body. So like this, you want to leave out the top and the bottom, and you should take screenshots of the top and the bottom later on, which we'll add as separate images into the widget. Once you've imported all of your images, right click in the content browser and then go to user interface and go to widget blueprint and create a user widget. We can just call that text messages, then double click to open. So the first thing you need to get is a canvas panel. Then you want to size that so it fits the entire screen. The next thing we're going to need is a scroll box. So we can size that to be the size that we want. And then we can also align it and anchor it so it's in the center. And then we also want to get a vertical box, and we want to inherit that to the scroll box. And we can set the size to fill. Next thing we're going to need to do is get an image. We can put that inside the vertical box, and the brush for the image is going to be the first screen. And then we can repeat this. We'll add another image to the vertical box. This will be the second screen. So as you can see right now, we can scroll between the images, and they're one on top of each other. The next thing we're going to also want to do is we're going to add another image, but this time it's not going to be inherited to the vertical box or scroll box. It will just be inside the canvas panel. So we can just drag that on. And we can give it a name. We can just call it head. So this is going to be the head of the contact information, basically. So we can drag that so it fits, and we can make it look a little better. Just make sure it looks realistic. And then we also want to repeat that, and we want to call it base or footer or whatever. And that's basically the options at the bottom. What we can do is actually we can align it to the center over here, position X. Then we can set the size X to the width of the vertical box. So when we go to this, scroll box. So when we go to the scroll box, we can look for size X. We can set the image as that same size. Then we can just bring it down. You can adjust it through here. So that seems good. And we also want to get rid of the scroll bar. So inside your scroll box, we should look for scroll bar visibility and make sure it's hidden. And scroll bar padding we can set to 0, and the thickness we can also set to 0. So that's basically remove the scroll bar, and then I guess we can just adjust this like for the last time. Just make sure that both sides are in line. So we're gonna test this first before we move on. So inside your first person character, get any key, and then from pressed, you want to create the widget. So you want to create widget, and then it should be the same widget name. So widget text messages. We want to add to viewport, and then inside the widget, before we test this, inside the event graph on event construct, we want to get player controller, and we want to set show mouse cursor to true, so we can scroll and use our mouse basically. So I can test this. When I click on tab, widget shows up, and I can use my cursor. And if I scroll, the messages are scrolling, but the problem is it's starting from the top. So the way we're gonna fix that firstly, and also we can see over here that we should move it a little bit more to the side, the header. So inside our text messages, we'll increase the scale of this a little bit, and then inside event graph on event construct, we want to go to the designer, and inside when we click on scroll box, we want to tick is variable, and we can save. Then our event graph, we want to look for the scroll box, we want to get scroll box, and we want to scroll to bottom, scroll to end. We can plug that in. So when we replay this, it scrolls to the bottom, and then we can scroll up, and we can just have to make a couple design adjustments. For example, the base needs to go down a little bit, and the header needs to go up a little bit. So after you've finished styling your widget to how you'd like it, I'm gonna cover now how to add a new image to this vertical box over here in real time. So before we start, you want to make sure your vertical box is a variable, so tick that over here inside the designer. Then we can go to the event graph, and then we can create an event by adding a custom event, and we can just call it show new message. So from that, we want to drag out and get the construct object from class node, and the class should be an image. And then from the return value, we want to get the vertical box first. Then we want to add a child, and the return value should be plugged in over here. And also we'll drag out of the image again, and we'll set brush, and then this in brush over here, we can promote it to a variable, and we can just call it new message. We have to compile and save. Then go to your new message brush, and then the default value, we can set that to be this image over here, and then we can put it to the image file. So let's test this out. We can call this immediately. So we'll call it when the widget is constructed, so we can check it out. So yeah, the new image has actually been created. So before it would end over here, but now we've got all of this. I'll actually show you in a better demonstration. I'll add a delay over here, and then I'll call show new message. So it will add the new message after a couple of seconds, so you can see it working. Should just wait for a little bit. And then yes, the new message has been added. So that's basically how you guys add another image to the widget, and you can repeat this as many times as you want with however many new messages. So that's it.